Hello again. So here we are continuing our approach at writing the best version of Space Invaders, your first game on MONOGAME. Yep. So we're going to quickly tackle a better approach at creating sprites in our list of tasks to be. This is number 2. Yep. So right. So let's remind ourselves how we actually draw our 2 sprites on the screen. It's using this method. Quite time consuming to type each thing out individually. What we need to do is make sure that the basics are defaulted. Sprite depth, for example, maybe rotation and scale we can set to 1. So these are all, so we wouldn't necessarily have to pass them in. They could be a separate call if needed. All right, so let's have a look at our sprites. All right, so we're having a look here and we have nothing that will sort our sprites out. Okay, so let's just quickly add that in. So we are going to add that in as a constructor. Best place to put it, I'm going to put it in the constructors bit. I knew I put one in. All right, so if there's okay, so if we don't pass any parameters in, then we're going to set some defaults, which will just aid our development. Okay, so and we can set whatever defaults we wanted. So I'm going to do a public constructor, the basic constructor. So it's going to be a sprite and no parameters passed in. So just put the brackets around it and we'll put the curlies and within our scope, we'll start setting some stuff. I think the position and source rect we will leave, because if they're not set, we're going to just assume that they will be set somewhere else, but we wouldn't know your initial position and stuff. I think ideally they we could like default them. So okay, so I'm just going to all right, yeah, we'll default them. So it will attempt to draw something or nothing. All right. So first of all, position. So that will be position, and we're going to do equals new vector 2. And I'm just going to make that 0. I think, do we do 0? No, I think it's float value. So I'm just going to put 0. There is a way of 0 in it, but I can't quite remember. All right, so that's passing 0, a float value of 0. All right, so our next one is our rect. So our source rect. So this means that it will attempt to run, because it will have, there won't be null. We will have something created. And I think I'm just going to pass. So I'm just trying to. So we've got a point. I think I'll do this. So I'm going to do 0, 0, and then we're going to have a width of 8 and 8. Just for the sake of having an 8x8 sprite at 0, 0. All right, and then our F scale and rotation. So I'm going to do a sprite color next. I'm not doing these in order. The default ones will be at the bottom. So sprite color, we'll make that white. New color, white. Do we need new? I suppose. Yeah, I'll just So if we do can we just do this? I think so, yes, it's a structure. Okay, I'm going can we, can't we, because this is not something I delve into every day. I have to remind myself. I apologise. All right, so just quickly looking down, I think we're going to have our F speed set as 1. So let's go F speed. I'm gonna go 0 because we don't need to do any speed checks. All right, and then right now we do our origin. Yeah, if we do origin next, which is a vector 2. Right, so that's origin, and that equals new vector 2, and just give it a 0. Okay, because that puts it top left of the sprite. We could make it center, but we'll just do top left. We're not because it's the area that it rotates around. We're not rotating at the moment. So which talks me to the next one, our F rotation. We'll have that as I will put the semicolon in on F speed. I just noticed that. Our F rotation. We'll have that. Oh my god, 0. Put that one there. So build, and then we want our sprite depth. Sprite depth. I'm a little bit inconsistent on my F's, so I apologise for that. Our sprite depth, we're going to have that as 0 as well. Now we have a sprite effect. And we have that as sprite effects, none. I think now I got our F scale, which we're shoving here, F scale, and that equals F scale 1, not minus, equals 1. So it's just general scale, and that is just quickly looking, F scale's float, lovely, of 1. We don't want it small. If it was 0, we wouldn't actually draw anything. So that is setting up the defaults. Lovely. So what we're going to do is add a few more. So we're going to do public sprite, and I'm going to do position. So it's a vector 2. Vector 2 for I do in position. Okay, and we got our rect for our source. So I do rectangle, and then we will do in source rect. Okay, and I think we'll leave that one as that one for there. So it doesn't matter really how many we have of these, it just covers all our bases. So we will then do our position, and that equals in position, and our source rect equals in source rect. Lovely. So it's that set up, and I will do a little bit of changing here. So we want everything else. So we really want this in a separate function. So bear with me. So you've typed all this out. That doesn't matter. We're going to move this down into a private function. We're going to do private void reset, no parameters, and then we are going to move from our constructor all of this, and we're going to place it in our new function reset. Okay, and we can then use this function again because we can't call a constructor. It's a bit weird. Maybe you can, but I'm just going to put reset in there, and in here I'm going to put reset. Okay, so that is everything else has been reset, and no, I really want that the other way. There. Oh, look at that reformatting. Okay, if I do that like that. Lovely, so it's all nice and neat. So we've reset everything, but then we are then using position and source. All right, so that caters that. We're going to have, I would like one with quite a lot in. So I'm going to have one more. Just copy this out. And we're going to have this, passing the same. I'm going to have a colour, which will be our in colour. And we are going to have a scale, which will be a float, which will be in scale. And we are going to have, what else would we use? So let's have a remind ourselves. So in here, what things have we set out of the norm? So our origin's okay, so we've got this, rotation, we've got the colour, sprite depth. So I'm going to go effects and speed, that should cater for most things. So let's do, I think, what was it called? Sprite effects. Sprite effects. I'm going to in effects. And we'll have another float for our final parameter, which should be in speed. Lovely. Okay, so for now, we just, I'm going to do the reset because it doesn't really matter. Oh, it's formatting, so I'll just have to leave that as is. And we will just set up the rest of it. So we've got our sprite color, and that equals our in color. Okay, just move this, tap this along, and then we have our scale, which is called F scale. And that equals in scale. Okay, just moving along, we have our sprite effect, which is just called effect, and that equals in effect, in effects, whatever I've called it, inconsistent. And finally, I think we've done our color, scale, effects. Now we've got a final one of speed, so it's F speed equals in speed. Okay, cool. So that's that set. This makes life a lot easier when setting stuff up. Okay, so we've got quite a few. I would go through and test these, like the normal sprite and the sprite things, but we're just going to keep these videos nice and short now. So excuse me while I yawn. Let's just save this first, and then we go to Classic Space Invaders, and we will refactor this little bit of code here. So what we will do is on here, because this is creating our sprite, eventually via our invader sprite, and we're going to pass in, there's my error here, so we might need to sort this out, but hopefully, so we'll pass in our position. So I'm just going to take this and plug that in there. We're going to pass in our source rect, which is here. I'm going to pass that second parameter. Our third one is going to be, let's just remind myself, is going to be color. Then that will be, so I'm going to do color. And what color we set it to? Light blue. Light blue. And our fourth one, Oh, have I got these in the wrong order? Because it seems to be coming up with different ones. It must be. So I've got position, color, flow. Right, so let's do scale, effects, and speed. Right, lovely. So our next one, scale, which will be 3.0, 0F. Oh no, scale 3.0, effects, which is sprite, effects, none, and our final one is -1.0F. Right, I think that won't work because we need to add some stuff to our invader sprite. Because at the moment there's no way our invader sprite, so we need to pass that on to our base sprite. Alright, so what we can do, I wonder if we can do a new sprite here and then put a new vector there. Is that a bit of an error on mine? And here it's not, I copied the wrong one, it's this one. I don't know, why did I copy the wrong one? Probably didn't. Right, so that then goes there. Trust me on this. Okay, it's all falling apart. So cannot implicitly convert a sprite to an invader sprite. An explicit conversion exists. I'm missing the cast. So I'm going to do invader sprite at the end here. Okay, looking good, no errors. So what we've done is we effectively have put all of this into one call. Lovely, and that should work fine. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try this. So let's run it. And then I will go over exactly what I've done. This is me trying to remember a little bit. Oh. Here's an interesting little debug. Alright, so unable to cast object of type sprite to invader sprite. So I wonder why. Okay, so bear with me on this one and we will have a look. Alright, so here we're at. This is what I would like. I would like there to be a new sprite generated with these parameters, which you've already got in the constructor, but with my invader sprite. Now, we can't just do that because the invader sprite's got no constructors to follow down, because it's not like other C-based languages in the fact with classes. Not going into details, where you can have more than one class, inherit from more than one class at once. It does a base class, so we need to root down from invader sprite. You just have to trust me when we do this. So our first of all, our invader sprite needs a constructor which will pass to the anim sprite, because that's the next base class for the invader sprite. If I just find out the invader sprite, our next, it inherits from its base class, which is an anim sprite. Now, anim sprite hasn't got no constructors on it. If we have a look, there are no constructors. There's no route to get to sprite. So we just need to pass it down. So we'll just quickly do that. So go to invader sprite, and what we will do is we will make a region, and I will do region tab, and then we can type in constructors. And in here, so we have a public, and then it will be an invader sprite, because we're doing the constructor is going to have, it's a new, it's going to have a sprite passed into it, and that will, I'm going to call that insprite, and that goes to the base class. So I'm just going to do base, open brackets, and put insprite. Okay, and then we just this constructor doesn't need to do anything. So right, so that's this one done. We've got an error, and we have a look, and as I said, anim sprite does not contain a constructor that takes one argument. So we'll save this file, go to anim sprite, and we will find where we're going to put it. I think there's a good place, under, not in region, in between regions and private data. So if we do another region, try and keep it all nice and neat, do constructors, and in here we'll do a public anim sprite, and that will be passed in a sprite, and that will, I'll call this one insprite. Okay, now this goes to our sprite, so this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So in here we'll do base, so we'll just go straight on to base. Now from here we have our constructors, and you can see here we've got 3 to choose from. So we have our normal constructor on our sprite, our 2 parameter ones, which is just the position and the source rate, and then we got the one that we want. So this is the one we need to actually set up. It's a little bit time consuming, so we do insprite. Our first one's position, so I'll just do position, and then our next parameter which will pass in will be our source rect. That's in sprite source rect there. Lovely. And our next one, looking at along, is our color. So it's in sprite color. Lovely. Our next one is scale. So it's in sprite, and that will be scale. Lovely. Press comma, and our next one's effect. So it'll be in sprite effect. And our last one is speed. So we do in sprite speed. Lovely. And that is, oh, well, let me just close this. We don't need to do anything in anim sprites. Oh, get rid of that. Sorry, wrong key. Put that one in. Not nice and neat. And that's that. So we'll save this file. We've saved our files. Let's go back to our classic Space Invaders. Now I'll try to do this all on one line. And we'll see there's no errors now. So we get our invader sprite is a new invader sprite, but we're now creating within that a new sprite. I hope you're following this. We get this, and it just makes life so much easier to set stuff up. So we've gone from using this one as an example, all of this, which is a lot, to one line, which is a lot, but it's easier to follow, and you can get a lot done a lot quicker. Especially if I just use another example, just do this one again. So we do a new invader sprite, and we just want to do the source and have everything else as default. That's all you need to do. So this is corrected up. This has started our new sprite at 300, 250, and we got our source rect. And what is that arrow in the? It should be 2. Oh, because I haven't passed in. Yeah, ignore this bit. I haven't set up the route to allow you to do 2. All right, so we need to do. If we need to do that, we will. But for invader sprite, this is how we're going to call invader sprites. For other sprites, we'll set the route up differently depending on what's needed. Sorry for that confusion. All right, so this is basically it. So this should work. So let's press this. And there it is. So our invader sprite up there is working fine. There she is. Lovely. Just close this. So there's a lot of palaver It's a tiny little bit of working, and you have to think linearly with your classes. So we've gone from our invader sprite, we've gone through our anim sprite, going on to our sprite, which is inherited from a game object, but there's no real functionality in that game object. So we've got game object, going to sprite, going to anim sprite, and then going to our invader sprite. This one, the one below, is a little bit easier. This one is we can just do new sprite and copy all of this across the ones that are different. So let's just copy that one and we'll put that one in there, and then we will do this one. So this is our source rect, which will get rid of that and put that one in. And then we have our color, which is light pink. Color light pink. Okay. Our next one we need to add is our in scale, which should be 3.0. And then we have our effect, which is none. So sprite effect none. And then our speed of -1 again. -1.0. Lovely. Okay. Right, yeah, it's done that, and we will leave that as is, and then delete all of this. So all below, so we just got just the sprite, it's new sprite, and because we got new constructors, so we can pass in the position, the source rect for our sprite graphics, our color, the scale, the effect we want to do on it. We don't want to do any flipping or anything like that. And then the speed. Lovely. So let's just quickly add that one. We'll test it. Lovely. So they're both fine. Oh, brilliant. And that's that one done. Looks a lot better, a lot neater. I think that just about covers it for this. Hopefully it's not too confusing. If you are confused, please yell and I will do a separate video on this. This is something I had to remind myself about. It's something that you'll soon get used to. Let's just put this one. Put that one there, so nice and neat. That one there, nice and neat. All right, so yeah, lovely. It is slightly confusing, and it's still looking a bit of a mess, but we will work this out in our next video, where we will remove our primitives from the screen and then create some sprites, which we will use as invaders, and we'll start laying out our game, which is the whole point of this. Having this like this makes it very easy to lay out stuff, as we will see when you're changing the position of your new sprite and you want it on a different source rect, so we can have different starting anims for our invaders. It makes it look quite interesting. All right, that's me. I'll stop my waffle. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like, comment. Yeah, I love your comments. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, where we will tidy up our main screen and put a block of invaders on at a certain point, and we will do a block of 10 by 5 invaders. We'll see what it looks like. I'll pick a random number and we'll do it, and we'll try and make the function as flexible as possible. All right, for when we develop our game. Okay, thank you, and thank you for your patience, and I'll see you on the next video.